Welcome to the Filthy Spoon Podcast. I'm John, and I'm doing this one solo with a good guest. Let's get the sponsors here. Willow Creek Custom Calls. Best way to get a hold of Brad is 510-610-7625, or of course, willowcreekcustomcalls.com or Willow Creek Custom Calls on the Instagram machine. And now's the time, man. You need something? Now's the time to get it. He's got all kinds of cool new colors coming out and cool different designs and stuff. So if you want to call, now's the time to do it. Willow Creek Custom Calls. Then Elite Bow Fishing and Pig Hunting. Oh, friggin' David Rank, man. It's about getting that time to go shoot some carp with a bow on Clear Lake. We're a little bit held back by this rain we're going to have all next week, but it'll be here before you know it. And the best way to get a hold of David is Elite Bow Fishing on Instagram. You say you want to go hunt a pig, he has very, very reasonable rates. Looks like they're having pretty good success, too. Even Dipshit Gribble shot a pig with him, so that's saying something. So, Elite Bow Fishing and Pig Hunting. And then Duck Chugger, our bro, Duck Chugger. Check him out on YouTube and Instagram. Super cool guy, veteran, friend of the show, personal friend of Robert and I's. Great, great guy. So, nice seeing him at the VHP dinner last week. And I don't know when we'll see him again. I don't know if he's much of a fisherman or not. Maybe we can get up here striper fishing with us or something. So check him out on Instagram and YouTube, Old Duck Chugger. And then G&T Truck Repair. You know, your truck broke down somewhere, no matter where you're at, North State, Reno, where we're at today, no matter where you're at, G&T Truck Repair, they'll take care of you. These guys do amazing work. And I mean, just the work ethic of the techs there is unmatched anything I've ever been around. So very good operation. And the best way to get a hold of them is 530-878-4923. And then Pinto Ridge Taxidermy. We got another name going in the hat today. Someone's going to win a free mounted bird at Duck Days 2025 in Calusa across the street from Kittles. So great events. We said last year we're going to make Duck Days great again. It was awesome. It helped out quite a bit. All you listeners coming in and showing up and helping with our CWA Life Member Drive. And we're hoping to make another run at it, see if we can't get more people out. I know Shannon Kelly's going to be back. He's going to try to get some other people from out of state to come out there because we're a very underlooked flyway, I think, out here in the Pacific Flyway in Northern California. So I know people are saying, shut up, bro. We don't want everybody to know, but hey, got to be proud of where you're from. So best way to get a hold of Pinto Ridge Taxidermy is 530-867-0896, or of course, Instagram machine, Pinto Ridge Taxidermy. So that's it for that. We'll get our guest on here and we'll get rolling. Welcome to the Filthy Spoon Podcast. I'm running this one solo with a good guest. We're here at the Reno Convention Center at Nevada's premier hunting show. First time. I've been in talks with this guy for some time. This is George Parker with Bluebird Waterfowl. And we decided to sneak upstairs into a secretive little weird room that nobody's in and record a podcast. Why not, right? So if you guys don't know what Bluebird is, you guys are missing out, man. They have some really cool accessories for your Mojo, Lucky Duck, any spinning wing decoys, and a few other things. So cool guy. Finally, it took me, I had to cross Sierra, much like the Donner Party had to do, but going the other way to get here. And I'm glad I did, because now here George and I are recording. How's it going, George?
I'm doing great, John. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, well, like I say, I've been trying to pin you down, and you're a busy guy. I'm a busy guy, and we finally got it done in Reno. So
yeah,
pretty cool. So you go to shows all over. You've been doing this a while. Tell us about what are you peddling? What are you selling? What's your deal, man?
Well, I thought about that a lot this year. You know, we're in our third year now. You know, as far as products go, like you said, we do spinning wing decoy accessories. We're trying to make products better for hunters. A lot of stuff that floats, high quality, long warranty, stuff like that. You know, but I listen to a lot of podcasts. Obviously, I'd listen to some business podcasts. I read business books and stuff. And there was something that caught my attention last week. You know, it's like, what are you selling? You know, and what Bluebird is selling is quality customer service. That's the bottom line. It's a phone call that gets answered. I took 2 calls on Christmas.
Yeah.
It's somebody who cares how you feel about the products. What I'm selling is what I think the industry is missing, is just high quality, customer driven, care. And that's really what Bluebird's about, is making sure that the waterfowl community has quality products, quality customer service, and somebody to answer questions when you have them.
Well, that's what you do, but tell me about what it is, because what you have is very innovative. I didn't know you. I seen your stuff on Instagram, and I'm like, man, that water motion of that thing. Because I mean, I'm a mechanic, right? So in my mind, it's like this little miniature patent pending crankshaft thing you put on the side of a Mojo or Lucky Duck or whatever
Right.
you've got, and it's got a rod that hits the water, right? And
Right.
everybody's thinking motion, right? Because the world is obsessed with water motion at the moment.
Right.
But the motion isn't what this thing's all about. And that wasn't on purpose.
Right.
But there's a whole lot more to this
Yeah.
than just the motion of it.
Yeah.
And what's that?
Yeah. So what you're describing is our Animator.
Yeah.
Currently, it's one of 3 products. So we're excited to bring some new stuff, and we could talk about that. But the flagship product of our company is called the Animator, and it's a spinning wing decoy conversion kit that allows you to splash water with your spinning wing decoy. But, 3 years ago, we thought we were making ripples with the Mojo.
That's what you're after, right?
Yep. And then, moving forward, after we started getting results from customers of getting limits in low visibility or no visibility conditions of birds landing right in front, of the pit on top of the Animator in pea soup fog, tall grass, high corn, where they can't see your spread, we realized almost immediately that what we accidentally stumbled on was attracting waterfowl using the sound of water.
The sound.
Yeah.
Sound, not a duck call.
Right.
This is splashing water sound.
Yeah. And it's a sound that's super familiar to waterfowl.
To ducks, not to us.
Right. Well, I mean, we recognize it.
We do.
We do
if you
recognize
go to a park and you watch ducks, they're fighting and they're screwing and they're doing all the things ducks do in an area, and and there's a lot of water movement and noise involved.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's been overlooked for decades. There are some old timers that'll say, oh yeah, I used to pat my hand with the water. I skip stones or, throw sticks. And a lot of those old timers, they were doing that for water sound. Guys in the South still regularly kick water for water sound.
Yep.
But most of the waterfowl community, I would say 4 out of 5 hunters would think that those actions are being completed to try to move water, to create ripples, and to move decoys. And the fact of the matter is, natural sounds, just as well as sounds can scare an animal, sounds can attract animals, right?
That's why I use duck calls, right?
That's right. Yeah. So, and if a bird can hear a widgeon call from a couple hundred yards, think about the power of creating a natural water sound that makes the ducks feel comfortable. Because what's important to note here is that this sound that we hear, you might, you described it as hearing it in a pond when you're watching ducks or maybe scouting. Duck hunters mostly hear this sound when we scare ducks. Right, or when we're chasing a duck that we've crippled, right?
Jump up on them and they're out of here.
But that popping sound, that wings on the water sound, is a known sound to waterfowl for safety 99% of the time. Feeding, fighting, chasing each other around. Birds make this sound when they're doing natural things. And the one place in the world a waterfowl will never hear that sound is when there's hunters around. And we take it for granted. We're out there calling, we've got motion, we've got pulsators, we've got butt ripplers, we've got screamers, shakers, uppers, downers, every single trick in the book to try to move water, not realizing that rattling antlers for deer is an extremely powerful attractant in some parts of the country.
Yes.
And that's not a vocal call. Or scratching the ground with a rake for turkey. It's an extremely powerful tactic to attract turkeys in some parts of the country, and that is not a vocal call. Throwing rocks out of a bucket, it's not a vocal call. All of these natural sounds that attract animals that they're used to hearing, just as much as a snap of a twig can spook a mammal, the slap of a wing on the water can attract a duck because they know for a fact that hunters are not around if they hear that sound.
Yeah, because the ducks are over there. They're messing around. I mean, how many videos you've seen on Instagram or YouTube or whatever, where a duck gets up and he sits there and flaps his wing and he's smacking the water? That's the stuff they hear.
That's exactly right.
The funny thing to me about all this is you didn't do this on purpose. You just kind of, stumbled into some shithouse luck. You just happened to, man, the sound of it. We were trying to make ripples, but man, this sound.
Yeah. And there's a story I'll tell you. I haven't told this story to anybody, but now that we have 3 patents on my product, I feel a little bit more comfortable talking about it. But when I first designed the plate, believe it or not, and I can send you a picture you can post on your Insta. It looked like one of those meat tenderizers. The things with little triangles on the bottom.
Yeah.
So that's the first plate. I was thinking, okay, we'll try to do this. We eventually settled on just kind of like a cup. Like an upside down cup, a concave cup that would smack the water. And I sent it to our mold injection factory. And when they were going to cut the mold, they said, this shape won't be supported. We need to add these ribs into the shape. So we got these ribs through the shape of the puck, which is now design patented. And those ribs create air chambers. And so when I put that prototype that I received from the molding company onto my decoy, it was almost immediate that we recognized that the cavitation of mixing that air and water with those 14 air chambers, it just created a sound that was so similar to feathers. It was absolutely unreal.
That is so cool to me. And like I say, you're just starting out. This is your third year, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I mean, you're rolling, right?
Yep.
But it ain't like you're just some dork that went to college and thought, I'm going to fleece duck hunters and come up with something smart. You've been hunting, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, I mean, full disclosure, bass fishing it was my passion for years. I was a commercial fisherman driving sport fishing boats for almost 10 years. And that's when I was introduced to duck hunting in 2009. So, I've only been hunting for about 16 years, relatively short amount of time compared to a lot of people who listen to your show, but it's long enough to recognize.
What are you talking about? Some people listen to the show ain't even 16 years old yet. So no, that ain't bad. I mean, you're closer to 20 years than you are a decade. So no,
right.
Very humble of you, but 16 years of hunting is something.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, and I have been around waterfowl quite a bit of time. Almost a third of my life. But most of what I've learned about animals, I learned from fish. And what I learned when I started driving boats, when I started working on boats as a deckhand, you're curious, you have this energy about you that you're trying to find out, how can I catch fish? And so you always talk to the captains like, hey, what do you do to catch fish? What do you do to catch fish? And they would always just look at you silly like, dude, a fish is a fish is a fish. You find the food, you find the bait, you find the water temperature, the fish are going to be there. Well, how do you make the fish bite? Well, if the fish are going to bite, they're going to bite. If they're not, they're not. And it was just, for a while, it felt like they were lying to you. But the more I fished, the more I realized that these animals are nothing but instinctive. Yeah. They are instinctive. And what hunters have taught waterfowl over the decades is that if they hear a gunshot in an area, they know they need to have their senses up. That's number one. If they see something that's unnatural, a flare off of somebody's sunglasses, something shiny, every hunter knows, you don't go out with a white shopping bag from 7-Eleven and leave it, above the pit, right? So there's these things about animals that we can recognize. And when it comes to waterfowl, I think I was able to key into the water sound technique quicker than other people were, because you realize almost immediately this has been missing. It's been missing. This is a sound that birds are familiar with that hunters are not using. And
haven't really ever, other than the old timers that skipped rocks and shit. Yeah.
Right. So understanding the instincts of animals, especially if you're out there in your garage with your buddies and you're thinking to yourself, I want to come up with something. Oh, I've got this great idea.
All right, we're back. I apologize, folks. I didn't understand how to operate my equipment. And if you guys know me, you know I'm a dipshit. So anyway, George was very heated in the middle of explaining all these bonuses we get by noise to attract ducks.
Right.
And it's very overlooked and this is overlooked by people from California to Louisiana. And I think you're onto something. I really, really do. And I think you're at the forefront of a different way to attract ducks.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was talking about the instinctive nature of animals. And, I think it's really important if you're considering making a product, sitting around with your buddies and you're looking to come up with a waterfowl product, think about what ducks want. Not what hunters want.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot of, and I'm not going to mention any products in particular or any brands in particular, but we used to have a saying in the fishing industry, that doesn't catch fish, that catches fishermen.
That's exactly
and
yeah.
It's
You're
great.
minding the miners, not the miner.
Right.
Yeah.
It's an important thing to understand as an entrepreneur or an inventor, that you need to think about what you're trying to do. What are you trying to do? Are we trying to make things easier on the hunter? Sure, that's a problem that needs to be solved. Are we trying to attract more waterfowl? Yeah, that's a problem that needs to be solved, right? Because everybody's doing the same stuff. So I'm probably the only person you'll ever meet that blows a chuckle on a widgeon whistle, and it's extremely effective. If you haven't tried it, chuckling on a whistle can be extremely effective. If you've ever approached a flat of widgeon or teal or mixed species of waterfowl, it's a mess. It's a mess of sounds. So why are we making single bird sounds when a giant mess of bird calls can be extremely effective. So there's always ways to break the glass ceiling and move into something new. And it doesn't always happen because of something you wanted to do. It could be in like my position where it happened to me.
Yes. Well, what I like about what you're doing, you're not, I'm not, like I say, I'm not going to knock anybody, but you're not some snake oil salesman out here trying to peddle some bullshit that is no good.
Right.
But I can probably trick some, like I say, hunt the hunters. That's not what you're doing. You're a hunter. You see this stuff. And I mean, you're answering phone calls on Christmas Day from people that had issues. And that's what you do. And I mean, it's you. I like show up at the booth here. I mean, we got Oxbow Bros here from Michigan, right? Michigan Bros. That's where Boss Shot sells from. But other than that, you're here by yourself. You're doing all this.
Yeah.
And this is all you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I do as much of this as I possibly can. We do have a warehouse in Arkansas. Rocky Stockdale, Sarah Stockdale, and his family have been shipping our products out. So if you receive a product anywhere east of Idaho, you probably received it from Arkansas. My dad and my stepmom are up in Oregon. I call them my Oregon warehouse.
Yeah.
They're packing and shipping our products out of there because I want to focus on our customers and be able to continue taking those phone calls. So
yeah, no, I think what you're doing and you're thinking out of the box is so cool, and it's somewhat refreshing to get somebody that's trying something different. And I mean, you kind of, fumble fucked through it and stumbled upon the noise thing.
Right.
But you're not selling snake oil. I believe it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, and even if the customer doesn't believe it, it's free to try it. Right. You make your initial purchase, but we're the only company in the industry that I know of that has lifetime satisfaction. So it doesn't matter if you've been hunting it for 6 weeks or 6 years. If it's not working for you, I'm a phone call away to get your money back. And the ironic thing is I actually put out this anonymous customer survey last week. I thought we have 99.8% 5-star reviews.
Dang.
There's got to be people having issues with these because I own the company and I have issues sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes the magnets fall out. Sometimes the camshaft is off by 1 millimeter and the wings wobble and throw your wing off. There are issues that I deal with, so I know there's people out there struggling. So how can I find these people if they're not going to find me? So I launched this anonymous survey through SurveyMonkey, and I sent it out. 7,000 emails, and I've only got back about 150, but I got back what I wanted, which was negative feedback.
Yeah.
I heard from customers that some people are having problems. So what did I do? I jumped back on SurveyMonkey and I adjusted the questions to say, well, if you've been having problems, have you called me?
Yeah.
Right? Have you attempted to reach out? And a majority of people said, yes, my problem was resolved. But there was quite a few people, about 20% of people who have been having problems, which, by the way, the amount of people having some form of an issue with my Animator was 18%. That's a big number. It's a big number because I don't hear it. And why don't I hear it? I try my hardest as the owner to be there for my customers and to let people know if you're having issues, I'm right here, dude. Like, I'm a real person, right?
Yeah.
Like, call me. We're going to talk about it.
Yeah, you're not going to talk to some Hindu in India. You're going to, you're getting you, George.
Right. And this is a product that has changed everything forever with regard to utilizing tools we already own. In that, it takes some time to learn. It's completely different. And it's not designed by an engineer, dude. I designed this in my living room. I learned how to use 3D printing software. I bought my first 3D printer. I had no idea how to 3D print. So I did everything myself. Engineers didn't work on this. So I expected there was going to be problems.
Issues, yeah.
And we've worked through and fixed a lot of stuff. Our version 2s are coming out this year. We've solved the gluing issue of the magnets. There was like a super glue issue where the glue was too dense. So as the product heated or cooled with the wings spinning, it would break that super glue off of the Animator and that magnet would come out. So there was quite a few people who responded that they were not going to call. And it's so interesting to me because no matter how hard you try to be the best you can as a company or as an owner, there's still people out there who have paid the money for the product that are not willing to call. And that number was relatively low. But I want everybody to know.
What kind of issue? Give you a call.
Dude.
What's your phone number, George?
It's 707-536-0216, or you can call 800-564-0914. They're on the website.
Yeah.
gparker@bluebirdwaterfowl.com comes directly to me. Every single Every message you send comes directly to me. Now, we do have a messenger on our website that if you click the chat bot, it will tell you straight up, this is an AI assistant designed by George. So you are talking to an AI assistant. But what is an AI assistant? Number one. An AI assistant has been trained by me. So every question I've ever received from a customer, I put into the AI. And then I personally answer that question in the AI. So then it gathers up all of this information. It searches the entire website for potential answers. And when you go on and talk to the AI assistant and say, hey, which one works with the Spoonzilla by Mojo? It'll give you a list of animator models that work with that specific decoy. But if you had a problem and it says, hey, my magnet fell out, it'll tell you straight up right away that you're going to need to call me. You're going to need to call George. It gives you my number. It gives you the email. And then people do reach out that way. So that is probably the only aspect of my company that I have outsourced to something to try to help the customer get answers quicker, because I can't always answer a text as fast as possible. Plus, I got a lot of the same questions.
The same. Oh, yeah. No, I agree. I need an AI assistant. Have you had too many beers? No. Yes. Have you? I need to get me one of them AI assistant machines. Yeah.
No, they're very helpful for answering simple questions. Does this work on the Super Lucky Duck? Of course it does. You need the Super Lucky Duck animator. Does this work on a Lucky Duck Junior 2? Yeah, things like that are already on the website that maybe people couldn't find the pages with the information.
People are lazy. They just want to buy what they want, and but this is a good way. So
right. So
it's not a bad deal.
And it's a little weird, but it has helped me a lot be able to build the company, to be able to focus on new products, So we're kind of taking that jump this year,
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about that. We're not going to go too much into detail. It's kind of prototype time.
Right.
But you're coming out with some wings.
Yeah.
Some pretty cool looking different wings that hunters nor ducks have seen before.
Right. Yeah, we decided to, the funny part is it was the easiest way to kind of dip my toe into seeing if wings would be possible, because there's a lot of engineering that goes into the balance, into the structure of the wing.
Oh, yeah.
And I wasn't quite ready to take that leap right away. So I figured, as a mathematician, what's the easiest way to make a wing that's perfectly balanced? Make a circle. So we patent pended utility on a perfectly circle wing. And I made these circle wings, and then I put them on the decoy, and I was like, holy smokes, the vision that you get, the reflection that you get from these wings is insane. It's at least, the 6-inch has at least 4 times the distance.
It's wild.
And the 8-inch is even further.
It's insane. I mean, you showed me some videos, some drone footage. It's like, dang.
Yeah, it's incredible. And so we're going to keep the circle wings, but we moved almost immediately into coming up with a uniform shape of a standard wing. And then I thought to myself, you know what? Why don't we try to make a better wing? And what are wings' biggest problem right now, John? What do you think as far as a duck hunter goes?
I'm a big Mojo guy. Most folks know that. If I'm out in my rice field, which my farmer runs water pretty high, if I drop that wing and it sinks and then it just slides down and you think it's 2 foot away. Here I am out there at 5 a.m, fishing around, getting my sleeves wet, looking for the wing.
Right.
Because it don't float.
Right. And 99% of the wings out there don't float. Lucky Duck has a floating version of a wing that kind of subsurface floats with a little piece of foam on it and stuff. But I thought, we can do better. So I decided to make a perfectly 100% buoyant floating wing. And I'm not going to be the last person to make a floating wing, but I can guarantee you I am the first person to make a floating wing.
Yeah, think about it. And I didn't even think about this. Because, sometimes when you're hunting, when it's super windy, I've had wings blow off while you're hunting. Yep. And I mean, they're good magnets. It's like big gust comes up. I mean, North Sac Valley, it's not uncommon to get 50-mile plus gust. Boom, wing blows off. Good luck finding that friggin' thing.
Yeah,
dude.
You're not going to find it.
Yeah.
And there's a company out there, not to be named, that has no replacement wings available for their spinning wing decoy. And
we kind of sucks.
We received calls from our customers using the Animator that maybe had an Animator camshaft that was bad, that had that 1 millimeter or 2 millimeter differential that caused it to throw the wing. Well, now I've got a lost Animator and a lost wing, and the customer can't replace the wing. So I have bought new decoys for customers that have had that situation.
Wow.
It hasn't been very many. I think I've only ever had to purchase 3 decoys for customers, but it's
I
important.
sure hope he left you a 5-star review because you really literally replaced his decoy.
Yeah. I mean,
Wow.
the reality of it is, it's this, John. We're all hunters. I'm just a regular dude who thought of a stupid idea that needed an escape during the pandemic, and I decided to go with it. I'm no different than anybody listening to this podcast. And if I were in that situation and I'm like, I just paid $70 for this cool new product and I lost part of my decoy because of it, what do we do as a business to rectify that situation? And I always take Vistaprint into consideration because I remember when I first started my first business for my wife, she was selling some jewelry and stuff. We had a poster printed banner and it came and it was fuzzy and the clarity wasn't good on it. And I called them and I said, hey, I realized my image was probably not large enough to print this big. And they were like, no problem. So we'll sharpen the image for you. We'll get you a new banner. It's going to be in the mail tomorrow. I mean, and I was blown away because I just paid $300 for this banner, but they're going to send me another banner for no charge. And I learned so much from a business aspect that they have a customer for life. And if I'm going to build a company for waterfowl hunters, I'm going to do my absolute best to imitate what makes me feel good as a customer for me being a business owner. And that's to take good care of the customers. So, but yeah, so this decoy that doesn't have replacement wings, I thought, you know what? We're going to make their wings for them.
Why not?
That's what we're going to do.
They don't want to make the money. Why not you?
Well, I mean, and it's of course, as a business, there is some money involved and God knows I'm not making any of it. But, the bigger part of the picture is these customers need these wings. And I'm buying wings off Amazon to send to customers to replace their wings. It's pricey. I've contacted Terry Denman. I've contacted, can't remember his name, Chuck over there at Mojo and talked to them about potentially ordering wings in bulk. I've talked to Tim No from Lucky Duck about ordering wings in bulk to have these replacements ready for our customers as we work through this prototype phase, which happened to be a very long 2.5 year prototype phase of the Animator. And we didn't get any good responses. It's just a weird thing to ask, right? I want to buy your product to give it away. Yeah. So I understand from Terry's standpoint or Chuck's or Tim's that it's just not the right thing to do. So, we decided to just move forward and provide a floating spinning wing that customers could trust they're never going to lose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. That is cool.
Yeah. So, and we're going to, the cool thing is, obviously I'm a big fisherman and a huge bass fisherman. I've been bass fishing my whole life. There's something about bass lures. It's that you could use a black popper and catch pretty much anything on it during the summertime. You can use a black worm and go anywhere in the country and catch a bass on a black worm. But there's a huge market for that robo worm with a chartreuse hand pour and a pink tail or whatever. What happens if we start to experiment with different colors, different patterns, different sizes? And that's what we're going to try to do. We're going to start coming out with just random shit. We're just going to come out with some crazy stuff, and ideas are welcome. And we're going to put out whatever we possibly can to provide the customers with, who knows what a pink and blue wing might do? Who knows what a red and green?
When you're looking at that pink and blue, a duck ain't looking at that. They see in a different spectrum.
And they see it from further away. They see it from, they might see some infrared color there. There's a lot of potential.
That's pretty smart.
So we're going to dig into breaking the glass ceiling again with a completely different mentality. We are utilizing spinning wing decoys that customers already own. A lot of folks have been asking us, like, are you coming out with your own spinning wing decoy? And I'm not. We're not coming out with the spinning wing decoy.
That's not what you're trying to do. You're making accessories for spinning wing
decoys. We want to upgrade decoys that people already own. We don't want to beat Mojo. We don't want to beat Lucky Duck. We want to join the waterfowl community, provide options to hunters, and be involved in the family that is the relatively small 900,000 duck hunters in the United States. So that's where we find ourselves right now is trying out some really crazy new stuff.
I think it's neat as hell what you're doing and how you're going about it. And you're such a positive, energetic guy the way you do it. Right. I mean, there's so many people that go into this with a different mindset. Like, man, I'm going to do this. No, you're doing this because you love this.
I just love it. I think a lot of people can probably empathize with anxiety, depression, a lot of things that Americans are overlooking nowadays that affect our day to day. And this, to me, really does change the dynamic of my entire life when I know that when my time comes and, I go upstairs with the big man, that people are going to say, dude, he did this, this, and this for the community. And that's really what I want. Life's too short to really care about much else. I'm in this to help hunters. Of course, I want to buy a house for my family. I still rent in California. We pay $3,000 a month in rent in California.
Dang, I moved to Gridley. You can buy a house there.
I want to buy a house for my family. So, if any of the big players over at Mojo or Lucky Duck or Higdon are listening, this
brother,
we more than anything want to continue doing what we're doing for my personal mental health and to also bring spirit and energy to entrepreneurs out there who want to dip their toe into the waterfowl world or even some other part of their national community and come out with a product and change your life forever. I mean, it's possible. I mean, I did it.
You did it. And so I have sat in many a duck blind with guys that have this idea or that idea. And it's like, if they did this or they did that, even my co-host, Robert, the guy that does show with me, before Sitka and Shin Gear and all these extreme bro wader companies, like somebody needs to come out with a wader that is badass instead of this cheap bullshit we're dealing with. Somebody needs to do it.
Right.
And he said that 5 years before Sitka came out, you know, and a guy like you're doing it. Right. And you know what I mean? Hey, some people might think you're a dipshit. There's no doubt about it. Right?
You ain't kidding.
Yeah, I'm sure you get all kinds of hate and stuff. But bottom line is, and same with me and my stupid little Fair to Midland podcast, you get some stones, bro, and get out there and try it. You got an idea? Do it.
Right. There's nothing to lose.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, if you fail, you learned what not to do next time. And God knows that we've failed a lot in Bluebird Waterfowl. There's been a lot of things we've learned the hard way. There's been some really helpful people. Dave Maestas has been helpful. Alec Langbell's been helpful. We've had long conversations with multiple business owners in this industry about what not to do. I listen to some. I don't listen to all, because I feel like if you don't fail yourself, you're not trying hard enough.
I agree.
Yeah.
But just try.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, like I say, so here you are, you're 3 years in, right?
Yep.
I mean, this is very impressive. I'm almost 2 years into my shitty podcast.
I don't think it's shitty at all.
Well, you're 3 years into this. This is your job now. This is how I mean, obviously you have help from your wife, but this is how you feed your family.
Yeah. No, it's definitely changed. We were fortunate enough last year in 2023 to have hunters support our company long enough to be able to separate myself from my day-to-day job and give myself a little bit of money, not a lot, just barely enough to pay my rent.
And bread and soup.
What's ironic about that, and I haven't talked about this with anybody either, is that as a corporation, you have to pay somebody to run the business. Otherwise, you get caught for corporate fraud.
Oh, dang!
Because they call it
to Robert about that.
They call it defrauding the shareholders. Right. So if nobody's getting paid to run the company, then it looks like the company's making more money than it is. So I had to pay myself something. And I talked to my bookkeeper, my CPA, and I said, hey, and my shareholders, I said, hey, what's appropriate to pay myself? And, the numbers came all back differently, but what we settled on was just enough to cover my rent. And that's what I take to make sure that my wife doesn't have to pay the rent. She takes care of everything else. She's been amazing. A lot of people might not know this, but most of your packages in 2022, 23 came from her.
Yeah.
And when I was on tour and we were selling, 30 to 50 orders a day, she's at home, not only packing the packages up, but she's actually packing the product into the clamshells, quality testing, everything, testing the magnets, making sure the product gets into the package appropriately. So she's been a huge part of this. Letitia, I love you. And my kids have helped too. My brother has been a huge part of it. But it's a lot to deal with considering paying yourself when you're trying to start a company. But just because of the support of the hunting community in purchasing the Animator, I've been able to take those phone calls, figure out the problems. I've been able to focus all my energy on the company 100%, traveling to trade shows, working with Rocky Stockdale, Ethan Vogel, Austin Stockdale, Philip Bonifield, Forrest Hale, some of the guys that have been associated with our company. I've been able to be out there and help them and train them on how I deal with my customers. So when the time comes when I don't have time to go to my trade shows or be involved as much, these guys are going to be able to carry on that same spirit of customer service and making sure people get taken care of. So if anybody ever had a problem and they walk into our trade show booth, they get a new product right there for free, a new part, a new piece, whatever they need. And that I wanted my people that work with me to be able to learn from me, to see how I react to people having problems. If somebody walks by the booth and they yell, "Oh, I tried those, they suck," we chase them down.
Yeah, like, hey, what's
we
up?
We go,
bro?
hey,
Come on.
what problems are you having? What specifically? And normally it's just a user error. They're putting the wrong animator on the wrong decoy. They're trying to use the animator plate underwater, which it has in huge bold letters on the packaging not to do.
Do not that, yes.
There's so much going on, but you're right. I mean, being able to separate myself from a day-to-day 9-to-5 job and work solely on Bluebird Waterfowl, I feel has not only benefited our customers, but has allowed us to grow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, shit, I'm busy worrying about broke down trucks all over. I wish I had the time to. Unfortunately, the annual income for the Filthy Spoon podcast is like $4. So, but yes, I think it and I see it. And I love the passion that you have for what you're doing. And I can see it. I can see it when you interact with customers, what you're doing. And I mean, you're doing the Lord's work, in my opinion. I love it.
That.
And it's just so out of the box, different. This is us West Coast guys, right? Because, that so much of this waterfowl industry is, Washington's getting pretty popular, but I mean, it's all kind of back east stuff, right?
Yeah, a
And
majority.
you're a California guy. I'm a California guy, and dude, we got a lot of ducks, bro. It's wintering ground. You know?
I don't know if a lot of people know this, but California is second only to Arkansas in ducks taken per year.
It changes every year, but it's California, Arkansas, Louisiana. Every year is the top 3.
Yep.
And we're always up there.
I like to say they can't go any further west.
They can't. Nope. Hell no, man. They go a little bit south, but they ain't going to west.
Yeah. They come down that Pacific Flyway, and we get a wide variety of birds. So yeah, I mean, hunting out in California, it is a lot of rice hunting. There's a lot of shallow water hunting. They're also tidal water hunters, big water hunters. People shooting birds outside the Golden Gate, which is kind of cool. Those seabirds and stuff. So
yeah, I done that last year. Melinda Dodds,
yeah,
California Guide Service, shot a old squaw.
Oh, very cool.
I probably one of only 1 or 2 shot in the whole San Francisco Bay last year.
That's awesome.
Not many of them.
You mounting it?
Oh yeah.
Heck yeah.
Actually, I'm what's his name? Thule Mountain Taxidermy out of Calusa. I'm going to take it to him tomorrow.
Okay.
Cool kid. I got to do a podcast with him. And
very cool.
Yeah, it's been in my free. I was going to get it to Adam Oliver, Pinto Ridge, who is a solid guy, sponsor of the show. But I'm going to give it this kid, see what he can do. It's not a great example of one, but you ain't going to shoot another one in the San Francisco Bay of them friggin'. Well, they got a new, more politically correct name for them old squaws. The long tails, they call them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're old squaws to me. But
yeah. Everything's getting weird nowadays.
It's getting a little bit better nowadays. But,
yeah. Well, they did make that major change from fishing game to fishing wildlife. That was 20 years ago.
I remember that being a big deal at the time. It's like, well, I kind of get it, but who gives a shit, man? Right. I've got so many other things to worry about.
Right. Yeah. So we also are coming out with another new product that's in prototype phase right now. We're considering making, a spinning wing decoy pole. The pole.
Yeah, dang, bro. I was hoping I didn't want to bring it up because I thought it was super secret. That thing is, didn't mean to interrupt you, but that thing's impressive.
Yeah. Again, we want it to float. We want it to be strong. We want it to be rust free. We're changing the connection points. We're doing a lot of cool stuff with it to make sure that those decoys don't get stuck in the pole, that the poles don't rust together. We're using some different materials, and it's going to be Bluebird Waterfowl style. If you know anything about the Animator, you could expect it to look very similar to the Animator with similar materials.
Let me explain this a little bit. So I seen this pole, right? This looks like the hood of like a Fast and Furious car, right? It's carbon fiber, right? It weighs nothing.
Right.
And it floats.
That's right.
I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, how many, like I say, if you're on a refuge or something, sometimes you put stuff in deeper water than you want. Dang it. I've talked about getting your sleeves wet. I hate getting my sleeves wet where I got to dive in the water.
Right.
And I've dropped the pole. I'm half hung over sometime. Dang it, there goes my pole, and I'm digging in the water. This thing floats.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not going to float your decoy, but if it does fall out of your hand, or you want to throw it to your buddy that's already out there that maybe forgot it when he's carrying his spinner out to set it up, you can just chuck it right at him, and it'll land in the water and it'll float right on top of the water.
We want to get my hand on one of them. Those things are badass.
We want to continue to make floating products as much as we possibly can. I'm sure there's a reason why these other companies have avoided floating products.
Price point would be my guess.
It probably it is much cheaper to make stuff out of metal, but metal rusts and metal sinks. And, so our products are not going to be cheap, but I always say I'm too poor to buy cheap. Yeah. I'd rather spend the money on one item or something that is going to last me a very, very long time.
Well, they say buy once, cry once.
And that's kind of where I'm at with Bluebird is, look, you buy a Bluebird Waterfowl product. If you don't like it, send it back. I'll give you your money back. That's number one. But if it breaks, if something fails on it, just call me. I'll give you a new part or a new product. And, it's important that we continue that strategy of changing how we make waterfowl products. And I imagine that just maybe even with the release of this podcast, there's going to be floating wings coming out, or floating spinners, or floating. That's fine, but that's what we want. Yeah, that's what we want. We want to show people that there's a better way to make products out there. And what we're asking from the waterfowl community is the support of the initiator, right? Yeah. So we're the ones that are putting the dollars and cents into making these products, designing these products, and these big companies have a lot of money. They can buy 10,000 or 20,000 units at a time and bring their cost down and bring your cost down as a consumer. But sometimes as a consumer, supporting the company who broke that glass ceiling can be very helpful to that company to help them continue to innovate products. And that's what we're asking of the community, is to support Bluebird Waterfowl, even though it might be a few extra dollars, to allow us to continue to innovate.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great idea. And now I'm a mechanic, and I grew up poor white trash, so I made a lot of my own things, right? So I've made my own, because the poles that come with a lot of these things, to me, I'll make my own pole. Well, not everybody has that option. You're an accountant. You're a taxi cab driver. Whatever the hell you do, not everybody can do what I do and make their own stuff like that. Right. So if you don't have that availability, and I found this out, like once I got into duck clubs, I'm about as blue collar as they get, right? I mean, look at my filthy, ugly hand here. I'm as ugly as they come. I'm blue collar, work for everything. There's a lot of people that took the office route,
Yep.
And they're diehard. I mean, they're better duck hunters than me, but they don't have the ability, or I can get a welder whenever I need. A lot of people don't even know what a welder is. I'm not talking a guy, a machine. And I think that what you are offering is so friggin' cool, that these other people that don't do it, because like I say, I'm kind of a blue collar guy, but there's so many like white collar guys that do this stuff that don't have the ability to make the cool shit you do, which I make cool mojo pose, but they're not for sale. I do it for myself, but not a single one of them could float. I can tell you that. Right. You know what I mean? And right. I know that exact feeling when you drop that thing. I mean, I think this is the third time I brought this up. Getting your sleeve wet friggin' sucks, bro.
Yeah, it does. And it's cold out there. So, yeah. No, I mean, we're going to do our absolute best to continue on the path that we're on. It just comes from the support of the community. A lot, we get a lot of trolls on our social. Well, you don't need that. You just need to learn how to call, and you don't need this, and you don't need that. And that's fine. There's always going to be somebody better than you at what you do. And that's the bottom line. But when it comes to people enjoying the little bit of time off that they have, to be able to have a product that can help you kill more ducks, that's guaranteed to help you finish more ducks, it's priceless to a part-time hunter.
The cool thing to me, George, is ain't nobody doing what you're fucking doing, bro. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's patent pending. You have nobody's done this. Nobody.
Right.
That's pretty badass.
I appreciate that. It's very scary.
I bet it is. Yeah, I bet it is.
It's very, very scary because we don't know if it's going to suck, you know.
Well, you know it don't. I mean, you're seeing the results, right? And one thing I wanted to bring up, and we talked to a couple of goose guys, I didn't even think about this. You can use this shit with geese. Take the wings off it, use it for geese. If you got a little bit of tow water and well, this year in Northern California, you had plenty of water, right?
Right.
So dry fields weren't that dry. Well, you got a deep spot. Put this thing in there and you got that water sound for geese.
Right. Right. If those birds are out there feeding in the rice or feeding in the flats, feeding in the field, and there's water, they're making noise. They just are. How much noise you want to make depends on you. You know, you could take the standard plate and use it the right side up. Where you get those 14 air chambers down, you're going to get a lot of noise. You could turn that standard plate upside down, you're going to get no noise. You take the silent plate and use that one upside down, you're going to get like a pop or a pitter patter kind of sound. Yeah. Or you can use the silent plate right side up, and it's going to be dead silent. So if you just want water motion, make it look like these decoys are alive out in the field, I mean, that's an option to you. Using the Animator wingless, you know, it's a touch and go. It's just like anything else. If you take the wings off, that motor speed's going to increase. You might get some clicking. You want to oil that camshaft. You might want to put 2 animators on one decoy. A lot of times, if I'm not using wings, I'll put 2 animators on just to slow down that wing speed a little bit, get that more natural sound. But it comes down to the creativity and the imagination of the hunter. Yeah. If you take the time to really tweak out on how you want this thing to sound, you can make it sound and do whatever you want. But if you're the kind of plug and play, set and forget it kind of guy, the Animator product is not going to be for you.
No, you got to play with it.
You got to play around with it, get used to it. I always tell everybody, practice with it before you hunt with it. Take it out in a pond or a puddle. Get used to setting it up. So when you're out there in the dark, you know, you can set it up quickly and get it to be an effective device for you. Which, speaking about the dark, something I didn't tell you about, well, I might have told you about, but I have not talked about on a podcast. We're starting Bluebird picks. So Bluebird picks are products that we don't make ourselves, but that we like to hunt with. And one of those is a headlamp. We've already ordered them. We're going to have them at the trade shows this summer. It's a completely unique headlamp. It's going to be affordable, super lightweight, stretches. You can fit it over your hoodie extremely easily. You don't need to adjust all kinds of little bits and pieces to make it fit your head. No top strap. We're also bringing on board these 3,600 megawatt hour lithium batteries with a rechargeable case.
Dude, you show me that. Yeah. I friggin' about did a backflip. I was so dang impressed. If we would have had them, I wouldn't have had to piece this podcast together. Yes.
You know, they're very high-powered batteries. They're going to allow the Animator to spin much more freely, get more power out of your decoy. Battery loss has been one of those things people have talked about, having issues with the Animator, but we do have a lot of documentation on the website, and there's also print material on the product itself talking about AA batteries. AA batteries see the most significant loss with an Animator. If you're using standard AA's, or your wife works at the hospital and you're reusing AA she brings home, you're going to see 40 to 50% battery loss. That's the bottom line.
That's part of it. You're running a whole different thing off this.
You're moving water. Yeah. You're moving water with a decoy.
Take more energy, just the way it is.
Right. So if you use these lithium batteries and rechargeable batteries, you can charge them up every night. You can have a fresh charge every hunt. And what we found is the 3,000 megawatt hours is going to last about 6 to 7 hours on a standard decoy with a 4-pack of AA's. We're getting the 3,600, which lasts about 10 to 12 hours. If you're not done hunting after 10 hours, I don't know what to tell you.
But to find a different spot.
Right. Yeah. But again, we don't make these products. These are products we hunt with, and we are going to be adding them to the lineup for the trade shows for people just to come in, pick them up, and have what they need, that they can, you know, instead of having to go and read reviews online or to ask a buddy what they use. These are trusted products that Bluebird Waterfowl has hunted with for a long time that work really well for us, and you can trust that they're going to have the same guarantee. If you get our products, even if they're not made by us and you're not happy with them, just call me and we'll get your money back. You just got to ship the product back. If you have problems with the product, we're still going to cover it under warranty. You know, with the Bluebird picks, we're doing a 1-season warranty. So 90 days, you know, if the product breaks after that, it's kind of out of our hands.
Yeah, because it ain't your stuff.
Right. But we are still going to cover it as well as we possibly can. And if you have a problem after 90 days, dude, I'm a phone call away. Yeah, I'm never, ever going to tell somebody, oh, I'm sorry, dude, you're 92 days out of your warranty. That's not going to happen. I honestly don't give a shit if it's a year out of your warranty. If you honestly want your money back, I'm going to give you your money back, because it's no skin off our back to make sure that you stay a Bluebird Waterfowl customer.
Well, that's pretty cool. Well, we're getting on a little bit, George. I'm going to have to get over across the street here pretty quick, and I think I got to take a leak. But I always like to wrap this thing up with 3 questions.
Sure.
So when you hunt, what is your go-to gun? What are you using? Ducks, obviously.
Yeah, I use a Beretta Extrema 400.
Okay, 12 or 20?
12.
Okay, I'm a 12 gauge guy too. I haven't bought into this whole sub gauge stuff. I think it's fine. I think it's neat. I'm not against 20. Grandpappy shot a 12, and that's what I'm going to shoot, right? Oh, good. Okay. All right. What shell are you going to use when you do that? I think I got to give a brand if you get all weird about that, but talking length, size, all that kind of stuff.
You know, I was a fan of 3.5s for a while, just because I know I'm going to get it done in one shot. Not concerned about crippling, but I went back to 3s mainly because of the price increase. But I use a 3-inch, and then I've been shooting blend lately. I've been shooting a blend. Yeah, I've been shooting a 1.3. You know, sometimes I shoot a 2.4, but I always got a pocket full of BBs, because if you know anything about rice hunting, you know those specks and snows, they pop up out of nowhere sometimes, and it's good to be prepared.
It is. We're on completely opposite opinions on shell size, but that's okay.
Okay. Are you shooting 2 3/4?
2 3/4, friggin' 4s or 6s, bro.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. You know, I honestly brought my dove shells with me a couple of hunts by accident, and I fucking crushed them ducks, dude. So I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. More pellets in the sky, right?
I don't know. It just seems to work for me. So, all right, this is kind of important, not that important. And you're not Bay Area, but you're kinda. Do you drive a truck?
I do.
Okay. What kind of truck do you drive?
You know, I bought my truck from a buddy of mine back in 2009. It is a 2006 Toyota Tacoma.
Okay, you're going to get a pat. I do not hate on Toyotas.
Okay.
That's good.
Okay.
I was so scared you're going to say Dodge.
I didn't know this was a judgment quiz.
Oh, I'm very judgmental. If you ever met me, I know I size you up from the minute I see you. Yes. Yes. No, but at Toyota, I am not, the Empire Japan supporting vehicle deal, but I know they're good. And Toyotas are very, very good trucks.
It's a great truck.
I don't want to work on them freaking things. I don't fit in Tacomas very well, but they are very good, lasting, long trucks.
Yep.
So, yes, I think you're the second guy in a row that said Toyota. So.
Yep.
But, okay, well, that's all pretty much a pass. I mean, the shell was a little, your gun, yeah, but not all in all, not bad. So,
okay.
All right. Well, thank you, George. Give us a plug out for all your socials and everything else you're out there before we get off.
Well, it's just Bluebird Waterfowl at Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all that fun stuff.
Bluebird
Waterfowl, man. You're going to find us, and as long as we exist, you call that number, you're going to talk to me.
That's pretty cool, man. All right. Well, I sure appreciate it, buddy. Guess we're about done here. I want to give one shout out to Oxbow.
Yeah.
These extremely white guys from northern Michigan. Cool guys, but nothing but good to me, and we'll check them out. I don't know. We might do something with them going forward. So
yeah.
All right. Thank you. Do not forget to rate and review on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever the hell else you listen to this Fair to Midland podcast. Thank you.